Hello everybody, welcome back to the Masked Story Write channel. I want to talk about books that are coming out in 2025 from authors on my automatic buy list. We get a new Hunger Games book. This one's called Sunrise on the Reaping. It comes out March 18th. I've just rewatched all the Hunger Games movies in preparation, even though I still have to wait 4 months, but I'm very excited, so I'll probably rewatch the movies again. When I read the books, I have read The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay. I've also read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I rated Hunger Games and Catching Fire 5 stars. I could not see any way to improve. They were masterpieces. They had so much to say. There was lots of action. Loved them. Mockingjay and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I only rated 2 stars. Although if I haven't read these books in 10 years since I read them in high school. If I reread Mockingjay, I might rate it higher now. I think I was too young to really understand the depth of Mockingjay, because now that I've rewatched the movies, and Mockingjay, I know it's in 2 parts. Both those movies I see so much more depth now. So I might rate that one higher. I just remember being disappointed because it wasn't a Hunger Games, like actually in the Hunger Games itself, like the first 2 were, because I loved the potential and the action and the scenarios and the conflict forced on those main characters in the Hunger Games themselves. And in the 3rd book, they weren't officially in a Hunger Games, but now I realize looking back that they were in a war that was its own Hunger Games in a way. So I might rate, if I go back and reread that one, I might rate it higher than 2. But The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I did read when it came out in 2020, and I still think it's still only a 2 stars for me. There were a Hunger Games in that one, but there's only half the book, and then the second half of the book we switch plots almost, and now we're in District 12, and we're trying to solve more personal Coriolanus Snow problems outside of the Hunger Games. So I felt like it was 2 books forced together, so that's another reason that it didn't work for me. And again, my favorite part of the Hunger Games books are the Hunger Games, so I was really hoping we'd get a lot more time with Hunger Games. We get a lot more build up. These are the 10th annual Hunger Games, so not even the very first one. So there's already some things established. And the 10th Hunger Games, it's all about Coriolanus Snow revamping them, making them matter to the populace, making them entertaining. And there was some of that explored, but I think it could have been the whole book. And the Hunger Games themselves felt like they were done and finished too fast. I think there was just more potential there. Let's read the synopsis for Sunrise on the Reaping. So the Sunrise on the Reaping, it's the 50th annual Hunger Games. So that means it's a quarter quell. And this quarter quell, twice as many tributes will be taken from their homes. So we already kind of knew that. We know it's Haymitch Abernathy. This is his Hunger Games, the first and only District 12 winner of the Hunger Games until Katniss and Peeta. I'm very excited that it's Haymitch's book. So Haymitch Abernathy's District 12. All he cares about is just making it through the day and being with the girl he loves. So he has a romantic interest. Interesting. So we know some of the stakes at play here. 3 other District 12 kids are going to be in the Hunger Games. One is a young friend who's nearly a sister to him. So another close character to Haymitch. And this close character is going to the Hunger Games with him. He's likely going to want to protect her. We'll see. A compulsive odds maker. Is that like a gambler? Interesting. That sounds like an interesting dynamic. And the most stuck-up girl in town. Okay, so there's a different kind of tension. So he's got a character going the games that he really cares about, a character that he doesn't seem to know that well, but they have a very interesting personality trait that I think could play well into the Hunger Games, because literally their saying is, "May the odds be ever in your favor." So if there's a compulsive odds maker or a compulsive gambler, Hunger Games, that's interesting. And then we have a character that Haymitch will probably butt heads with in the Hunger Games with him. So lots of interpersonal character relationships, a lot of possibility here. I'm looking forward to it. Haymitch understands that he's been set up to fail. Okay, so I wonder if that's just in general, he just recognizes that the whole Hunger Games sets everybody up to fail, or is the Hunger Games, is the capital specifically targeting him? Is he doing something they don't like, and are they making it harder for him? We'll find out. There is something in him that wants to fight, though, and have that fight reverberate far beyond the deadly arena. Okay. He wants to fight, and he wants his fight to go beyond the arena. That sounds like rebellion. We always knew that he won his games by throwing a weapon into the capital's force field around the arena, and it bounced back and killed his opponent. And the capital took that as an act of rebellion. So I wonder what he did up until that point, or maybe after that point, also as acts of rebellion. Very intriguing. Very worth the pre-order. Very worth me owning it. I look forward to reading this book. Now, again, I already mentioned that I didn't rate the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes prequel very high. I only rated it 2 stars because it didn't have much to do with the Hunger Games themselves. This one sounds like it's very Hunger Games heavy, so I'm excited for that. That's probably going to bump it up to at least a 3-star rating. Hopefully 4 or 5 stars, though, for me. I'm looking forward to the context around the 50th Hunger Games and the quarter quell itself. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Capitol shoves its messaging and what kind of messaging it's going to shove in to the importance of this quarter quell, into doubling the tributes. What does that mean? How should members of the district interpret this quarter quell that is such an honor for all the districts to participate in? The messaging. I want to see that. And of course, I'm looking forward to Hamish Abernathy. I just like his character so much. I want to see how he got to the place that he has when we see him in the 74th and 75th Hunger Games as a mentor. Obviously, he uses drinking as coping. So what was his personality like before the games? What was his view of his future before the games? What did he believe? What were his beliefs and coping mechanisms during the games? How did it lead to the Hamish we know today? Sounds like this Hunger Games book is very Hunger Games heavy, actually being in the Hunger Games themselves. And I'm someone who likes action. I like fast pace. I like multiple character interactions. I like tension, internal conflict tension, external conflict tension. So it has lots of potential. I'm hoping this is at least a 4-star read. Okay, then we get into April. There is a sequel. It's kind of a sequel. I think it's in the same world, by Sangu Mandanna. So she wrote The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I rated 4 stars. It's pretty romance heavy, but I still loved it. I still like the romance. I like the overall plot. It was written in a way that worked well with me. I have hopes that this sequel, it's called A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I hope that it also explores romance and personal growth similarly to the first one. So the main character's name is Sarah Swan. She was once one of the most powerful witches in Britain, and then she resurrected her great aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead. But because she did that, she lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her magical guild. Okay, so conflict. We got our conflict. Now she slightly reluctantly and a bit grumpily helps Aunt Jasmine run an inn in Lancashire. So she rescued her aunt, I'm guessing because she really cared about her. There were some consequences to her actions. She lost a lot of her magic, was exiled from her guild, so kind of lost the life she had before, and was forced to join in on her aunt's life running an inn. Sounds like it might not be what she wants, but we got some conflict, got some tension. She learns about an old spell book that could hold the secret to restoring her power. She finds herself turning to Luke Larson, a gorgeous and icy historian who might be the only person who can help her unlock the book's mysteries. The fact that he also happens to be her one-night stand from years ago is totally irrelevant. Okay, we got our romantic interest, plus we got our romantic conflict and tension. It sounds right up my alley so far. We've got our main plot. So the main plot is her own personal goals, her own personal growth. She's trying to build a life, get back what she lost, build a life closer to what she wants. But along the way, she meets her romantic interests. She's already got a past with him. She's already in her interpersonal relationship going with him. And we'll see how the romance plot helps her in her own personal main plot. Obviously, it sounds like it's a fantasy world with a romance subplot, right up my alley. I know that Sangu Mandanna can write good pacing. I found the pacing in her first book was great. I also found that the character relationships that was driving the plot forward. So that's one area where a romance subplot can bug me sometimes, is if I feel the romance is stopping the main plot. Like we have to stop the main plot every time we explore the romance. That bugs me. But Sangu Mandanna was really good at showing and portraying the romance as stepping stones and helping her in her main plot. It helps that the main plot is learning more about herself. So it's pretty easy to tie a romance plot into that. So hopefully this one will do the same thing. And hopefully I can rate this one 5 stars. I am hoping it's going to be 5 stars. One thing I found in the first book is I would have loved even more stakes, even more tension, and even more action. Because there were some of that, but for my taste, I like a little bit more. I'm a very action pace heavy kind of reader. So I hope this one has a little bit more stakes, a little bit more action. And that'll be 5 stars for me. Okay, then we get to May, and we get another release by my favorite author, Kelley Armstrong. Again, in past videos I've said, she is a great author to love because you will get multiple books a year from her. Usually 4 to 5 novel-sized books from her. So every 2-3 months you got a book to read from Kelley Armstrong. And she writes multiple genres. So this one, we already talked about her mystery coming out. This one is also a mystery, but it's a time travel mystery, basically. So it's called Death at a Highland Wedding. It's coming out May 20th. It's the 4th book in this time travel series called A Rip Through Time series. The first 2 books, called A Rip Through Time and Poisoner's Ring, I rated 4 stars. The one I just read that came out last year, or this year because it's still 2024, was called Disturbing the Dead. I did only rate that one 3 stars. This is all the reads coming out in 2025 from my authors on my auto buy list. Now, Taylor Jenkins Reid did announce that she has a book coming out in 2025, but I haven't had time to look at the synopsis yet. But that's also, I'm going to pre-order that today. I love everything Taylor Jenkins Reid writes. Basically every book she's written was a 4 or 5 star for me. I look forward to it. I think it has something to do with like an astronaut. That sounds very cool. I haven't read anything like that before. But it's Taylor Jenkins Reid. I will take the risk. And it's not even really a risk because it's Taylor Jenkins Reid. There's a few other authors on my auto buy list, but there's nothing announced that they have coming out. So Sarah Granda Ruiz, she's one, but I haven't heard anything about a book coming out next year that she has written. Same with Angeline Booley. Same with Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. Same with Sarah Anderson and Nathan W. Pyle. So those are also auto buy list authors. But as of right now, I don't know of anything coming out. If they do announce something, I will probably talk about it in a future video. But that's everything. So I guess the question I want to leave you all with are you anticipating any of these books? I want to know, did you pre-order any of these books? Thanks for watching. See you later.